being snatched from a mother, and in front of that child, the mother's being thrown to the ground, and she's pregnant. When I see things like that, it enrages me. It makes me want to take the life of these officers. And
empathy is a weakness, Chris.
You understand? So when I have empathy for people, I don't like bullies. That's one thing I can't stand, bullies. Trump is a bully. He even approached this tariff war on a bully concept. And that's why people went on the defensive, nations went on the defensive to say, okay, retaliatory tariffs. Because you're putting people on the defense. But then I hear people say, I still support Trump. And when he says, just in the Supreme Court, they gave him permission to target people based off their skin color, but nobody can say that's racism. What is racism then? If you're targeting people based off their skin color, and that's not racism, please somebody tell me what racism is.
White people can't say nothing no more. That's racism. White people can't say nothing no more.
I have to look up a lot of those things that you were mentioning. But, falling back to, and I'm not ignoring what you said. I'm not versed on those things. It's new information, and I'll need to, of course, independently look it up and stuff. But in regards to the strong survive, right? Basically, when we were talking about business, when how much you earn is directly proportionate to the value proposition that you give to society, right? So
no, not right.
Not right?
That's a lie.
Okay.
It might be a basic principle that you live by, but it's false.
Well, these are just grounded in economics, but the example.
Yeah, I used to believe in a lot of things from economics. I have a master's in international business. A lot of things that we view as theorems and principles are just false.
Right. Okay. So then, for example, let's go back to Obama with the TARP, right? The TARP.
Yep.
You guys
No, we can't go back to Obama with TARP because TARP was under George W. Bush, $800 billion. Henry Paulson got on his knees in front of Nancy Pelosi and begged him to sign. Please do it. But now today, conservatives blame it on Obama, and I don't let them do it.
Okay, well, we'll say TARP. I don't care who did it, right? Because
I
don't agree with
I do.
TARP.
Let's say Bush.
Okay, so
go ahead. Now finish.
So Bush, that's fine. Let's say Bush. Okay, Bush. You're right, Bush. So Bush bailed out companies that should have failed because of their poor business decisions, right?
The banks.
Those car companies, GM, Chrysler.
No, Obama did that.
Okay, then that's what I was talking about then.
Okay.
I thought TARP wasn't.
No. TARP was about the banks. $800 billion in two tranches, two $400 billion tranches.
Okay, so what I'm directly thinking about is the bailouts for these car companies.
Gotcha.
Those car companies in a free market should have failed due to their poor business practices, and then the free market, which would have been the other existing car companies, or maybe we would have gotten Tesla sooner or whatever, would have scooped up that market share, and it would have been pulled us down a little bit. We would have take the medicine, right? Suffered a little bit from those, right? Because it wouldn't be status quo when they got their money. They should have failed. We should have allowed them to fail. Yes, jobs would have been lost, but to subsidize, take money from you, take money from me, take money from my daughter, take money from everybody in this group to give to these companies because they couldn't manage to run their business properly. That should be when we allow companies to get too big to fail, we end up subsidizing them because we can't afford not to have them. That's why we don't have monopolies.
I don't disagree with one word of what you said, even though I slightly do, and I'm going to tell you what that is afterwards. Everything you said was true. First of all, most of us hated when Obama signed that legislation to bail out the banks because we wanted to see the big banks fail, right?
Of course.
But sometimes, you don't really want what you think you want. And I don't think the country. Well, that's fine. You might have wanted it, and maybe you were probably in a much better position to weather the storm had the storm come. So people can think philosophically when they're in a position to think philosophically. Most people aren't. Most people suffer, and that's more death, and that's more destruction, and that's more crime. Hold on. I listened to all of that you said. I want you to hear this.
Okay.
Now back to the what Obama did bailing out the auto industry. First of all, that was a loan. That wasn't a bailout. TARP was a bailout. The auto industry were loans, which the government made money on. They didn't lose money on them. They made money.
Correct.
So I think I don't think that was a bad thing to be done because ideology, somebody's ideology says that that's not how you're supposed to do it. Here's what I will say. If we were actually dedicated to building a fair and equitable society, this would be real easy, and the blueprint is out there. That's not what most rich people in this country want, and they run our government. If we, the people, actually voted and took back our government and did things for the majority and not for the minority, things would be better in the country. But this country is set up in a white supremacist way, so that's almost not possible. You have 5 red states that have 20% say that are mostly white that don't have any people. So you can't get anything affirmatively done for the majority in this country because it requires 60 votes of 60 mostly old white men, and they're not interested in any of that because they're like you. They say the government should be small. Because if the government's small and there's no counterbalance to what we do, we get to rob you.
All right, Red V. So how about this then? You said that my option is we could have let them fail and take the medicine, but you have a point. Not everybody's in a position to take that medicine, right? Like I wasn't in a great position, but I was willing to do it. But maybe I was asking for something and bite not too big of what I could chew. But there are alternatives. We did make some money. We made a little bit of interest money on that on some of those deals, right? But there are other alternatives, and I would propose an alternative such as this. And I'm not the smartest person in the room, so if I can figure this out, others can. If the taxpayer, if you and me and everybody in this group has to bail out a company to keep us from suffering, then we don't just collect interest. This isn't some loan.
We should get a piece. That's called socialism.
We should get a piece.
Yep.
We should get a piece of that company.
Yep.
Oh, Alex,
Right,
you
that
beat me
company.
to it. I was.
Yep.
We should get
Like
we
all
should
that
get
oil
fair.
that them oil companies pumping, that 15% of that should go into the natural treasury. Yep.
Right.
That's socialism,
So
though.
what
Y'all
I'm
don't
saying
like
now, but wait, no, owning, no, but that's not socialism. That's owning a piece of a company.
Oh, hey,
Like,
call
for
it
instance,
what you want to call it. They're gonna tell you you're a communist and you're a socialist, and they might end up getting you unalive for saying this.
So when you buy
say that's
shares
not
in the stock
socialism,
market,
wait, Glovebox, before you say that's not socialism, can you tell me what socialism is?
socialism is when the government has full control over pretty much all entities, right? And it would be almost be like full socialism. No.
No. Socialism is the people owning the means of production of the product. You just advocated for socialism. Look it up. I don't. You don't even got to take my word for it. You can look it up.
I'll look it up. 1 sec.
I'll pull it for you.
And you know what? Socialism demonize the word consistently so that most on the right have a Pavlov's dog-like response when everybody uses the word socialism.
Socialism, from what I understand, is
Socialism actually supports meritocracy. Right? It actually supports that. If you read the definition of socialism, you'll see meritocracy in there. You'll see it.
okay. So I'm about to learn something, or we're all about to learn something. My understanding of socialism is that the government owns the means of production, but you're saying the people own the means of production. Can someone Google the definition?
Love, I just told you, I'm getting ready to show you right now. Okay, so hold on.
Okay.
And like I said, socialism supports meritocracy. You'll see it in there. 'Cause even with liberals, I hear conservatives speak against liberals, but a lot of conservatives don't know what a liberal is. They don't know the definition of a liberal. I'm like, why y'all speaking against somebody who why are you speaking against the ideology of free enterprise? Are you disagreeable with free enterprise? If not, that's part of being a liberal. Pardon me.
socialism is a political and economic philosophy defined as social ownership of the means of production, in contrast to private ownership. This core principle has led to the diverse interruptions and implementations throughout history and across the world. So just like what he just said, just shortened means of production owned by the people.
Do a screenshot. How do I take the screenshot on a single device? Because mine comes up under chat. You use Google. Mine says, I said, is socialism the government owning the means of production? And it says, yes, socialism is the government owning the means of production. Hold on 1 second. I'll get the rest of it for you. How do I share a screenshot or copy paste? How much can I fit
what do you think the difference is between the government and the people?
The private sector.
Okay, in the traditional sense, the government owns nothing. It's all owned by the people. Is that where we're going with this?
No. Here. Let me give you a for instance, right? Typically, when conservatives want to talk about socialism, they'll bring up some third world despot nation that's doing very poorly and showing how their standard of living is terrible. But they'll never tell you that the nations with the highest standard of living are socialist nations in Europe. So you can have different. Hold on, you can have different types of socialism. Like for instance, in Germany, it's the closest thing to what you were saying that you want to do that I agree with, that we would come into agreement with, because the workers own a percentage of the companies that they work for, right? The NFL, that's quintessential. Hold on, listen. The NFL, most professional football leagues, that's quintessential socialism. The players own 51 to 53% of those leagues, and they prosper tremendously. Meritocracy.
The last 4 words, Glove, community as a whole. I mean, where does it say?
The question about government and people.
Doesn't say government. I would love to see what you turn on your camera so I can look at what you're looking at.
How do I get a screenshot posted here?
Hold on. Let me see how many followers you got.
I mean, say what your definition says is right. Then we're still just arguing nothing, because the point is how you organize your society.
Right. Is there a way to minimize my screen so I can have it up in the corner and go read this? Because I think if I go off my screen, you guys can't hear me, right?
Yeah, you only got 20 followers. You don't have camera access.
Hold on 1 second.
Just tell us what you want us to know.
Yeah, Glove, you don't have camera access. You only got 28 followers, so I don't think you can do nothing.
But you can just tell us. We're listening.
Yeah, it just says, I'm trying to memorize it all, right? But it's giving the chat. If somebody can go into ChatGPT, Microsoft, type in, is socialism,
I already got you.
Socialism.
I got it on my screen. But
hey, by the way, and I encourage you, in your future reference points, don't ask biased questions to ChatGPT or any AI. Ask generic questions, you'll get better answers.
Really?
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do. I will do that. I'll correct.
Because look, it's socialism. See, capitalism supports the private sector more than it supports us. This right here, socialism supports us more than capitalism would. Meaning people that are not.
So you said perfect. Sorry. You said that it says government ownership. You didn't highlight the very next statement because it says government or cooperative corporate ownership.
Let me jump over and double check 1 second.
I think that chat is a good, reliable source for information.
So I'm saying, once the private sector, if this was an all capitalist society, we would, us working class, we would all be impoverished, because that is the support of the private sector, and the private sector has no interest in sharing its wealth at all. That's how they became the private sector. That's how they became the 1%. It's because they don't want to share any wealth, whereas socialism has the opposite. Go ahead.
Well, not just doesn't want to share any wealth. They've been, again, Supreme Court 1919 any CEO has an ethical responsibility to making sure, or to shoring up the growth of their investors' bottom line. Like they have a ethical responsibility to make sure that corporation grows. Meaning their ethical responsibility is beholden to greed.
Right. Hey Justin, what source you got right there? Is that the Chat GPT?
This is Chat GPT. Yep.
So he just didn't read it all the way, and it's basically the same definition.
Here's what it is. So, government controls the means, and the way you guys are doing it is that the people would own it, but the government would control it. So, yeah, you are right. Though when I read down, it does say yes, government controls the means of production, and then when you go down, it explains that the people own it, but the government controls it. So is owning stock socialism?
Stock is not government controlled. It's private industry.
Right. So if we said, if a company is failing and as a collective, we as people said, you need $100 billion, well, give us $100 billion in shares and we'll distribute those shares amongst the people, right? And the people can have those shares to hold. They can't sell them, but they can hold them for a period of time until a set date and when they can mature. So it's like a loan, and then the individual who holds the shares can choose to either grow with the company, right? The company is still privately owned by the CEOs or whatever, but then the people, just like if you or me own Google stock, you can choose after the maturity date to either hold that, give it to your kids, or sell it for cash after 5, 10, or whatever the term was.
So basically, what I saw, the last definition of socialism that I saw, it also involved an excerpt in that definition that said basically that the people would own according to what they put in. It's not like something
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like it supports meritocracy. If you really look into the definition of it, it's according to what we put in that determines what we own. You understand? So whatever we could.
So it's like buying shares.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So that's I think
that's better than.
I like the idea of socialism better than I like the idea of capitalism, because capitalism is basically privatized, and if it's privatized, there won't be no ownership at all, because that's their mission. These guys will become the 1% by sharing out wealth. They may share out money, but sharing out money is not sharing out wealth. You understand what I'm saying?
But Christopher, yeah, I do. I get what you're saying. But Christopher, you would have ownership in capitalistic society, right, without crony capitalism or whatever. And I'm sure a few people here probably own their own businesses. You're allowed to own your own businesses. You take the risk. You keep all of the profit minus whatever you pay in taxes. You have control of your destiny, and you believe in yourself. And it's based on your merit, your ability, and your drive, and your entrepreneurial spirit to be able to do that, and you can grow whatever it is into whatever you want, right?
That's true. But what I'm concerned about is the rest of the people that are not business savvy that will never start a business. Because what you don't want is a society of have-nots. Because eventually...
But someone has to work for you, Christopher.
Right, but I can only employ so many people. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like...
Right, but you can grow
the fact that 80% of businesses that open up fail.
Yeah, 80% of businesses do fail within a certain short period of time in the beginning, and that's because a lot of people. I mean, business is risky, and the reward is great if you do well, right? But you have to take that. You have to take those risks. I've started a couple businesses, and I ended up homeless and lived in my car for 5 years, and you know what I mean. And came back from it and learned and did better. And yeah, there is some risk, but as to Christopher's point, not everybody's business savvy, but good people who start good businesses, you know, like if Christopher starts a business, he can employ 10 or 15 people in his community, keeps it small, and keeps the dollar circulating within his community rather than a big corporation. Now, if Christopher grows his business to where it's exponentially larger and he turns into something like Berkshire Hathaway or Amazon or something like that, then that's a different story. But it's nice to know.
What if you didn't have to become homeless because of your failure?
Well, I learned from that. We don't learn anything from constant success. We only learn from failure. I don't learn nothing from.
I'm not saying abdicating failure. I'm saying the difference between failure and abject poverty. What if you didn't have to experience abject poverty? Like, by what you're saying, we're going to continue this experiment because abject poverty is a rite of passage, and it doesn't have to be. That's almost a barbaric thought.
Well, it is human, and I mean not human nature. It is the way of the natural order in all other aspects of life. I mean, geez, retirement is as well. I mean, it's not supposed to exist. It is about the capable being able to survive. And yes, we should have social programs to where when people get injured or hurt or old, they can't work, they receive support from us, and we pay into it. But the other alternative is that all of us go to work this morning, right? And we earn no money, but the government will they'll give us what they think the government thinks we deserve, only what we need. And it spreads around, so everything is equal, right? We don't need wages. We just go to work, and all the money goes to the government spends it, and they send us a loaf of bread a week and a bottle of milk a week, and we get what we want. We can live our lives, and that's it. That's like the ultimate socialist dream. And I know there's varying versions of socialism, but that would be pure socialism.
Did you have children when you were in your car?
The United States has what? Oh.
He asked if I had children.
The United States has to run. But let me say something. The United States. Robin? Oh.
I think you might have a delay,
Chris.
Y'all
hear me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Y'all hear me now? You hear me now?
No, there's a delay. No, still a delay. There's a delay. You're probably in a bad. It looks like you're driving.
One, two.
Y'all hear me? Did I live in my car?
Alright, so if y'all hear me now, I think proper measure of capitalism and socialism can work together like it's been. We have to have the proper measure of capitalism and the proper measure of socialism, and they have to work together to address everybody.
I agree.
Because we have to, right?
I agree.
So that's what I'm saying. So if we function those properly, then America could work. But the problem is, we have people that don't want to see America work that way because of greed, because of the lust for power, control, and wealth. They don't want to make it a fair playing ground. Socialism I like because it
That's crony capitalism.
Right. Hold on a second. See. Did I give you my call? Huh?
But yeah, to answer your question, I did have a child when I lived in my car. I mean, she didn't live in my car with me, and I saw her every day, but yeah.
Well, that means that she wasn't with you then. You was by yourself in that car. But you see, a lot of people don't have that option. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like I'm a sole provider for my child. Her mother is not nowhere in the picture. Neither is any of her family on her side of the family. You see what I'm saying? So it's just me. So if I fail,
you know why?
me and my daughter fail together. So, it's good to have that safety net so that we could actually get some help from people if needed. Now, let me just point this out to you. Everybody's always mad about people getting SNAP benefits and Medicaid, and they say, I don't want my taxes going to that, right? But you rarely hear them talk about their taxes going to subsidize these big corporations, which is astronomically larger portion of their taxes that's being taken out. It's like we got the people at the bottom fighting so that greedy corporate owners could stay that way.
Well, the tax breaks aren't taken out of our paycheck. That's just money that the companies don't get. They don't pay in taxes. It's not a deduction. It's just that they don't have to pay that amount.
Say that one more time.
So when a business gets a tax break, that just means that they will not be paying those taxes into the system. It isn't anything that we're having to essentially give to them. It's not coming out of our paychecks, right? They just don't have to pay as much in taxes. Now, there's a trade-off. There's a value proposition for a tax break, right? It's worldwide competition to bring businesses, to incentivize. If a country has a lower tax rate, then the businesses will want to come do business. We're competing, right? Lower tax rate means we attract a business out from outside sources of the world to hopefully come here and do business with us remotely or physically, brick and mortar. When we do SNAP benefits, a lot of the reasons that people get all up in arms about it is number one, some of the things you can buy with SNAP benefits, and two, aside from the moral obligation that we have to help those in need, aside from that, what is the value proposition? One is businesses are formed and create jobs and employ, which their revenue wages that they earn, and then those taxes go into the system, and then the government spends those taxes on social programs and whatever else, parks and recreation. So it's that cycle, right? But you said you were solo, wife not in the picture, just with your kid, right? That's correct. Younger, but someone. No, okay, yeah, but when you were younger, and maybe this happened when you were younger, wouldn't you have appreciated somebody from the day you were born putting some money away, stock, and then allowing you to have it at a later date when it was much more valuable and had grown, and then give you the option to continue to contribute to that? Isn't that something that you would have wanted?
Talking to me? Yeah, I would.
Okay, so you know that was included in the big beautiful bill, right? Everybody born under Donald Trump's term received $1,000 custodial count. That means that when that person who was born this day turns 65, they'll have close to $1 million in the bank. If they do not add to that $1,000, they can add to that 1,000. But if they don't add to the 1,000, they'll have almost $1 million when they retire. Were you guys aware of that?
No, but I listen, man. Like
every person.
I think that we have a situation now where we've ruptured a few relationships around the world. We've ruptured a few relationships.
No repair, but yeah, I hear you.
Right, so we can't. To me, to predict the economy is even way more difficult based off these relationships that we've affected through these tariffs. Things have changed dramatically.
Yeah, those things.
So I don't know if
will pass.
Say again?
Those things will pass. I mean, I'm basing this off of the last 100 years of the stock market performance. We're basing this off the last 100 years, right? That's what this is based off of. In the last 100 years, we've gone through many recessions, a Great Depression, and many different tariff situations, all kinds of economic fallout. And the United States is a very resilient country, and we will hopefully continue on down that path. Now, we've already had Donald Trump as a president for 4 years. We kind of, he's got 3 more years to go, and we'll probably have a Democrat in. So that's why we course correct. The pendulum swings. It goes back and forth. But the baseline is that the economy grows. We are consumer nation. We spend every penny we get, and we spend it on companies. Why not own a piece of that company so that you can retire and not have to worry, if Social Security's not there, you're going to want your own money. And what was given to us in the big beautiful bill, not to me and you, anybody born from during Trump's presidency, and hopefully they'll continue to increase it from 1,000 to 3,000, whoever's in the next term, that makes them multimillionaires when they retire. No worrying about Social Security, none of that BS, and you're independent. And that's just the power of compound interest and financial literacy. That's all.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but also in that big beautiful bill, right? I don't even like calling it that. In that bill that just passed, a lot of people will suffer as a result of that bill going into play. So I'm not thinking about see money don't rule me like that. I'm not a person that loves money, because the things that I love are worth more than money. You understand? Like a good quality of life. A good quality of life doesn't mean you need a lot of money. In the United States, a good quality of life is just eating healthy food. Something like that could be a good quality. You don't have to be rich, right? But we have food that is banned in like over 25 other countries, and we're eating this shit.
And they're trying to fix it. Yeah, they're trying to fix that. The dyes and the red dyes, I get you. Yeah.
Right. So
Man, that's just the tip of the iceberg, the dyes. I mean, we got to go all the way back to the root.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
The root, the soil.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? All the glyphosate that they spraying on everything, causing high rates of cancer in this country.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? The microbes in the soil itself are being unalived at astronomical rates. So they got to supplement it with these poisons. You see what I'm saying? It's not just... And who owns most of that stuff? Who is pushing this stuff? The big corporations. If you look at who owns these major fertilizer companies and these major pesticide companies, you'd be surprised when you look at that big circle where it all points back to the top 1% of the world.
Right. And all of those companies, or many of those companies, are publicly available for you or me to invest in and grow. As they get filthy rich, right, individuals can benefit from that. Now, I know that my life is not about money, and there are more important things, such as our soul and just our health. But when you are without money, or your children are without money, or when you turn 65 years old and you're unable to work, right, all money is just stored energy, right? So you can't make it your master, right? We can't make money our master, but we have to understand that those dollars are employees, and those dollars are our preserved energy for a time when we cannot expel it physically, and we need that quality of life that you're talking about, which is food, healthy food, or health care, or shelter. I mean, that's what money's for. Money, I tell this to my daughter all the time, money is for food, shelter, transportation, right? And healthcare if you need it. Aside from that, you should be happy. You don't need a big old Starbucks coffee or nothing like that. Put it away and make it work for you.
So by your logic, we basically feed, you see what I'm saying, put our money into these people that are actually poisoning us and help feed the process. You see what I'm saying? I want to starve the process out. I want to eliminate the process.
But you can put your money into windmills. You can financially support whatever company that you believe in. If you believe in turning the sky green, you can put your money into that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. We could put our money into windmills, but then we'd be point right back to the machine that's operating right now. They just cut everything for windmills. This is a job right here. Damn.
Well, what I'm saying though, but the point is that you get to choose. Your vote. There's no other greater place aside from the consumer market that you can vote with your dollars, other than investing into companies that you believe in, or like some people here may specifically want to just invest in black-owned companies, right? you can do that. You can vote with your dollar.
Right, it makes sense. I get what you're saying. But then we got to look at the reality of the situation. We got 70% of the population, man, who are one paycheck away from being unhoused.
And
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, the reason is corporate greed. That's the reason.
The reason is, I believe, financial literacy. If you knew, I could tell you this right now, and you can believe me or you can ask me for proof. It's totally up to you, okay? I can tell you this right now. I do this all the time. I'm not sure how old you are, but
I'm 53, man.
Okay, so
I sound
you got
young,
kids?
don't I? Yeah, I got kids. Of course.
Old ass.
Okay. The cost, like for a young man coming in, the cost, I tell this to my kid, my daughter, the cost, there's a subscription cost to wealth. Okay, it doesn't mean you're going to be buying Lamborghinis and stuff, okay? But there's a subscription cost to wealth, and that is $10 a day. And the reason, now you might just say, well, that's $300 a month, and that's whatever, $2,400 per year. But if you understand, and Albert Einstein said this himself, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. If you understand that compound interest,
We understand the rule of 7.
the rule of 7, right? Compound interest, right? If you do that, $10 a day, you're not going to be living paycheck to paycheck. It will snowball, and you will eventually. Here's the thing, and this is the truth. If you do that, one, you'll get hooked on it. Number 2, eventually, what will happen? Returns on the stock market, your daily returns on the stock market will outperform the laborious wage that you do going to work every single day. And one day, you will not have to go to work because you have to. You will go to work because you want to or need to, because you need the physical work, not the money. $10 a day.
Yeah, you said that with all conviction, and I know in your heart that you believe it, but now let me give you the reality of America, because that sounds good and peachy. But everybody's not going to be that. And here's the reality of what conservative economic philosophy has done to the average American. The average American right now is in debt, right? Black women in particular, a negative net worth of $6, right? And this is not due to a lack of work ethic. It's not due to being spendthrift ways, right?
Okay.
My problem I have with your rendition of how the world is supposed to work is you refuse to look at the fact that we're a $31 trillion economy, and you've got nations outperforming us with less than half of that. You've got a $17 trillion economy in China. Homelessness. Right? Then we say, well, look at the cost of living, because it costs them less to live. We're being robbed.
Right. Well,
American people since 1982 have been robbed. They're being robbed of their labor, and they're being told that it's their fault. And no, it's not their fault. It's the fault of the system, the way the system is designed, to where you can have a person work 40 hours a week and end up
you're choppy.
Town, my friend. I said when you can have a person who work. Can you hear me now? You can have a person working a 40-hour work week, and at the end of the month,
Right. Now here, I'll just tell you this. We live in a different world now where you can do an Uber trip to make $10 a day to put away for your future, right? I'm just telling you, man, I went from homeless, living in my car for years, and worked my way out of it. Now, I know...
Okay.
Yeah, I've never been homeless.
Listen, bro. Let me just say
I've never been homeless.
Let me put it into you into simpler terms. All right?
Right.
We got a population here, right? That their only access to financial literacy is to go to college. Because they're not teaching it at the local levels, at the local school levels. They're not showing the children how to get financially literate. What they're doing is, on purpose, they're keeping the people dumbed down to this idea so that they can keep people at the lower part so that corporations can continue to siphon off as much money as they can. The system right now is designed for corporations. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the amount of people that have access to this financial literacy is very little. So there's no way for them to, I mean, aside from going online and doing a little research themselves.
That's what I'm saying.
But a lot of people still, you see what I'm saying? They're trapped in this mindset, and the information is not only, it doesn't compute to them because they're trapped in a system where they are stuck in the position they are in. You see what I'm saying? And they can't see this beautiful thing that you're talking about here.
Maybe they could just work and get a fair wage instead of Jeff Bezos making more in 7 seconds than his employees make all year. Maybe that.
Right. Yeah, there's an argument there. But what I'm saying, though, is that we live in a different time. One, making that $10 a day or $50
Why do they need to go get a fucking side gig when they're already working 40 hours a week and Jeff Bezos is making more in 7 seconds than they make all year? Why?
Because one day we will be either injured or too old to work, and that retirement money will be needed. Right.
That's not your argument. That's my argument.
That day could come.
My argument is I shouldn't be sitting on my ass. Let me tell you why I get to sit on my ass all day. Maybe this will make some sense to you. I worked for a Fortune 40 company for a while, Pepsi-Cola, for about I shouldn't have told you that, for 18 years, right? But then later I sold health insurance, Medigap insurance policies to old people. I did that for 7 years, and I'm sitting on my ass till retirement because of that due to residual income. Do you know how twisted that is? No, but my point is that's twisted. That's twisted.
Why?
This is why it's twisted. If this system ran the way it was supposed to run, we would have universal health care money on a Medigap insurance policy to fill in a donut that they put in for black people. To have a Medigap insurance policy is because when they were designing the health insurance plan, black people only were allowed in certain jobs, so they couldn't meet the rate of the donut hole. So they didn't get coverage. It's part of eugenics. So my problem is, it is fucked up. And the system still exists on that principle. And you'll have people who defend the system in the name of capitalism and conservatism and whatever ism that they choose to use that. I know why it exists. Like the sheriff's badge thing, right? When they talk about law and order, but we understand the origins of these things. It matters.
Right. I'm glad you told me about that.
Yeah, so when you know that the rest of the civilized world, for their healthcare system, none of them spend more than 13% of their GDP. We spend 19% of our GDP on healthcare, and we don't cover 60 million people, and we still got old people paying for a donut hole. That's capitalism.
Right.
That's robbery is what that is, and people seek to hold it in place.
Wouldn't you say that that's crony capitalism, though?
Call it what you want to call it. That's how it's going to work when people have money and they get control.
Right.
They're going to do whatever they can do to make more money. It's why Luigi unalived that guy.
Yeah, especially where we have a system right now. You see what I'm saying? Where corporations are seen as individuals that can pay politicians what they want to get their agenda across.
Yeah, that's some bullshit right there. I'm sorry. That's some. I agree with you. That's just, dude. I agree.
Mitt Romney told you corporations are people, my friend. Well, what are they then if they're not?
And they can vote. Yeah, that stuff's so.
And that's why all of the money is speech. That's your Citizens United. Money is speech. So therefore, if I had more money, my megaphone is larger than yours. Shut up, poor guy. You obviously don't know how to live in life because you're poor. If you knew how to do it, you'd be rich like me. So shut up.
Well, I'm not poor.
I'm not poor. No. I'm not poor either. Remember, I made the point. I retired at 55 years old.
Right.
But my point I'm making to you, because a system benefited me, it doesn't mean that I can't look at that system and see the twistedness in that system and want it to change and see how it's affecting other things in the community and our country.
Right. But let me ask you this, though, Red B. Listen, if they taught financial literacy like they teach Spanish in class, right? It was a mandatory financial literacy thing. I'm not talking about balancing a checkbook. I'm talking about how to operate in the world.
Yeah, I understand. It would be fair. It would be a more just system. I would agree.
Who would that benefit, though?
That would benefit
the poor, right?
The country. That would benefit
people at the lower part.
Country.
That will benefit more the people at the bottom, right?
They're not trying to have that.
Who's in control?
Right. So listen to this, though. So they're starting to mandate now financial literacy courses. I know it's sad, but it's only one semester, right? They're starting to do this because the people are saying with apps like Robinhood, and people are starting to get into finance, and they're like understanding what's going around. People are pushing for it, and now they're starting to put mandatory financial literacy classes in school as a graduation requirement, which is a good thing.
That is a good thing,
right? Right. We have to teach. That's what I do. We have to teach the younger people how to do this, and it is a different language, and it is hard to convey. But it is a responsibility of ourselves. It's our responsibility to teach that. I teach this to people I don't even know, people I've never even met, and I teach this stuff to them and show them compound interest calculators so that they will understand it and that they can live a comfortable life with healthy food like you're talking about and not have to worry about living paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of that has to do with stop being such a consumer. Our nation is obsessed with consumerism. We spend so much money, dude. You can make a coffee for 14 cents at your house, but my daughter does the same thing. You spent $8.95 on a coffee this morning and then had a Red Bull for lunch? No, my daughter.
Well, I know. I'm messing with you. I agree with you totally.
Yeah. Right, and I go in there, she tells me she's broke, right? And I'm like, you're not broke. So, I tell her, first I realize she not interested in finance because she has no skin in the game, right? So I gave her a couple $1,000. I put it into a brokerage account. I had to twist her arm for her to open up a brokerage account so she could watch it every day. When you got skin in the game, why did it go up? Why did it go down? You ain't got no money in there. Don't give a shit. I tell her every day, you want to see where people are getting wealthy? You want to see where people are making their life easier? Pop open your Yahoo Finance app, 6:30 a.m. to 1 o'clock. You'll see people getting wealthy every single day. These are opportunities.
Brother, that's excellent. That's excellent parenting. Only thing that I'm saying to you, I wouldn't say anything against anything that you said because I agree with it totally. This is what I'm telling you, though. We need to build a more fair and more just society, and conservatism stands in the way of that. These people wouldn't even need to know these things. That they were simply paid what they're worth for 40 hours.
Basically, what you teaching your daughter is very commendable, and it's the right thing to teach. It's the right thing to teach. However, what if you didn't have to show her that because society wasn't structured that way? You see what I'm saying? So instead of feeding the beast, we starve the beast, and we make a new system. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
we design a system where people can actually live.
Can I say something when y'all finish? One of the things we have to understand, and this is going to be crazy, people going to think this is crazy to say. And I heard Alexander, and now I know why he has, and Christopher, why they have the ideas that they do. First of all, capitalism cannot survive without socialism.
Right.
Let me say that again. Capitalism cannot survive without socialism. If you were to give everybody in America $1 million, the same people would be broke after 2 years, and the same people would make money after 2 years.
You're right.
As and I'm saying this because there's two methods for me. And when I said that I'm both conservative and I'm both democratic, is a house with a weak foundation is not going to stand. It has to do with supply and demand. So those who may make under $50,000 tend to be the most that will spend because they're trying to chase after the American dream. So there's a difference between a W-2 mindset and a 1099 mindset. So just like Alexander, I'm 60 now, but I retired at 45. I'm unemployable basically. But what I have done is when you learn to be able to, if you want to work, you work by choice. So now I'm an environmental director for a town, but don't get it twisted. At 60 years old, I have my degree, but I also have, I'm blockchain certified. I'm not crazy, by Cornell University. So I'm an investor over all things. Now I teach folks, especially the young kids, of not only budgeting, but you got to look at the realm of society who are going to spend. Those of us that have businesses or corporation, we need people to buy our product. That is why, in my perception, Alexander, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I never vote for a conservative person because they look at capitalism and capitalism only. And if you look at Ronald Reagan, it used to be when he had Reaganomics, 70% of the top 1% paid more in taxes. That began, we're still feeling the effects of Reaganomics because his idea was, well, if we allow the rich people to keep their money, they would create more jobs. That has not happened. And so when I go in that voting booth, I look at those like socialism, people that are going to help and give folks an opportunity, because after all, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. When I close my eyes, whenever that will be, there will be 3 generations of my family that will already be what you would consider wealthy. They're not going to struggle. Okay? But because what I'm teaching them, and I land here, what I'm teaching them, one of the things I teach them about is a trust. Right now, I'm working with a technical college because there are young black men or whoever the college has decided to work with and let me put together a program. I know nothing about plumbing, but I guarantee you I did a 3-seminar course on plumbing, and I got plumbers in the community to come in to teach live classes. Because there's these kids, not everybody's going to be billionaires or millionaires or even have that mindset. But if you give them a trade, that's why it's a problem. And I'm going to say this administration, when they got rid of Job Corps. So there is a separation. But we as those who have, and we are able to, we need to put back in the community for those people who don't understand that money is not hard, it's just different and how to manage it. I land there.
Wolves, you just came in, introduce yourself, where you from, your age, who you voted for last election cycle.
Alright, I'm 42, I'm from Ohio, and I voted for Harris last election.
Interestingly enough, I've been asked this question in a while, but I would like you to share with us what was appealing to you about Kamala Harris and what policies interested you the most.
Well, for one, her economic policies versus Donald Trump's policy, for one thing, and more to the point, she's a person who believed in the Constitution. Donald Trump didn't, and he showed that during the campaign. Now, if we didn't experience his first administration, people would not have known what to expect, but they voted for him anyway. We had a chance to say no to it. I did. I said no all 3 times to him. And now look where we are now. He's ripping the Constitution one step at a time. Whether it's something major like sending the military into an American city, or something, I won't say it's small, but just as important as firing people who talk dirty about Charlie Kirk, or not as sad as everybody else about what happened to Charlie Kirk last week. So the Constitution was, her economical policies and the Constitution was foremost on my mind in making that mark on my ballot.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I missed that last part, man. You said money is, the last thing you said, I missed, a phone call came in. Money is what, but is difficult or easy or something?
supposed to move forward.
I didn't mention anything about money, but I said that
the lady before you, Mariah. I can't read her name. My glasses, Mariah.
Marshall. Yes, sir.
Yeah, what was the last thing you said? You said the very last thing you said. You said money is something, and then I had a phone call came in and it interrupted you.
Oh, yeah, money is not hard. It's different, and it's how you create. And one thing that people miss altogether, when you look at, it's important for us to have our GDP. It shows the strength of our nation, which is beginning to drop. So one of the things that's important is a healthy nation. That's why you need programs to help those that are not able. Just in one, I will say one group alone, our veterans lost something, I think 1.3 million of them are have lost their food stamps, their health care. So if you remember during when we had the GI Bill and folks were going to school, one thing about America, why it was so successful, and I'll give you a main point of that, Bill Clinton wasn't successful just as a Democrat by himself. Bill Clinton was successful because he had a man named Alan Greenspan, who was a conservative, that knew how to work the economy. That is why, and people get mad at me when I don't care what you get mad at. Those are the conservative side. That's why Bill Clinton's time was so successful. So America needs what? First of all, we need a healthy nation, because if you look at Russia right now, Russia's people, they're unaliving slowly. He got the younger ones in war, and their economy is tore up. The reason why the United States has been so successful is because everybody has a right at the American dream glove box. So that means we need to have a healthy nation. Conservatives, some of them, don't believe in, we need to cut all these programs that Doge cut were programs that already had some cuts. But right now, we have veterans having to go to private doctors, watch this, on the outside, which costs the government more money. It literally costs, because private doctors, they're going to charge you more. So you shouldn't have messed with our veterans, period. I come from a veteran family. The majority of my people are veterans or in the military. I come from Paris Island. Okay, so
my son's from Buford.
You're okay. Yeah.